has already come.
Hare Krishna.
So, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, today's topic is Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. And thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving time to us. This is a small group, but we are trying to increase it so we can proceed, Prabhuji.
Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity for studying the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, such an incredible book. And you have a very nice, small, sweet group, so that's very nice, very encouraging. And tonight we're going to embark into Sri Gaura Chaitanya Lila.
Yes, Prabhuji. And when you quote the sloka, please quote the number. If you tell the number, so that we can refer in the book also, Prabhuji.
Yes, I have a PowerPoint presentation which shows every verse
excellent,
we'll choose.
Oh.
Now, does everybody have a book available, a soft copy?
Yes. They can access Vedabase. I have the book and they can access Vedabase.
Very
no
nice.
issue.
Okay, so let me share the screen. Hold on. Just a second.
Disha Mataji, Adi Lila, a second chapter.
Okay, let's share the screen. Hold on. Let me see how I do this. I'm just trying to show. Yes, here we are. Okay. Let me just put a slideshow. Yes. Just a sec. I'm in the wrong slide. Yes, this is the right slide. Yes. Here we are. Hare Krishna, everybody. Dandavat Pranams. We are here in Sri Mayapur Dham, the place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his incredible mission of Sankirtan. So, here's a question to start with. Has anybody here already read the chapter?
Yes, Prabhuji, I have read some of the portions.
Haribo, you have read the chapter. Anybody else? Okay.
Yes, Prabhu, I have
Apurvananda has read it.
Yes, Prabhu.
Disha Mataji, have you read the chapter yet? Okay.
No, Prabhu.
Not yet, but there's time. So I hope this is an inspiration that we will be able to read this chapter, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so static that it's really nice. Okay, very good. So, sorry. The first, we'll invoke this mantra. I'll chant it, and then I hope that all of you chant as well. It goes, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya
Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Anybody can tell what did we sing?
So, Prabhu, here we glorified Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, and basically Panch Tattva and their devotees. All devotees.
Glories. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Sri Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Acharya Prabhu. All glories to Gadadhar Prabhu. All glories to Srivas Prabhu. And all the devotees of Gauranga. So this is a very nice mantra, because just like the Panchatattva, when we recite it, we are glorifying the whole universe. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we'll see in this chapter, he is the Supreme Person of Godhead. And okay, if I ask any one of you, how would you explain to a person who does not have access to the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God? Any ideas? Okay, so we'll get some ideas from this chapter. This chapter is all about this. It tells us how we can tell the world that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the same person as Sri Krishna. Okay? And we start with this verse. Sri Chaitanya Prabhum Vande Bhalopi Yad Anugrahat Tare Nanna Mata Graha Vyaptam Siddhanta Sagaram, which means, who would like to read this?
Yes, I'll do Prabhuji. I offer my obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even an ignorant child can swim across the ocean of conclusive truth, which is full of crocodiles of various theories.
And at this point, we offer our humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas and Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha, Patitanam, Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. And we pray that we may speak on this topic because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that even a child, an ignorant child, can swim across the ocean of conclusions about the ultimate truth, which is full of crocodiles, with full of theories, of various theories. Now, here's a question for you. I want to hear from you. What are some of these crocodiles theories around there? Any idea?
Yes, Prabhuji, like, yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The crocodile of various theories might be the theories of the Mayavadis and the Pandits, those who were there. They had given so many theories which were against Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's theory, and they told that God had no form, no nothing. That is what those can be the theories.
Okay, very good contribution. You went for the impersonalists and for the Mayavadis. Very good. Anybody else has an idea what this crocodile theories could be?
Like yoga system of Patanjali and Gautama, the system of philosopher like Kanat, Kapil, Dattatreya. So these are the actually theories in the ocean of nations.
Exactly, right? And the crocodile is the same crocodile which caught Gajendra when he was enjoying, and the crocodile caught him, and he had to offer some beautiful prayers for the Lord. So this is the purport which tells which crocodile theories that could be. Disha Mataji, can I ask you to read this purport for us?
Yes, Prabhu. By the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even an inexperienced boy with no educational culture can be saved from the ocean of nescience, which is full of various types of philosophical doctrines that are like dangerous aquatic animals. The philosophy of the Buddha, the argumentative presentations of the Gyanis, the yoga system of Patanjali and Gautama, and the systems of philosophers like Kannada, Kapila, and Dattatreya are dangerous creatures in the ocean of nescience. By the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one can have real understanding of the essence of knowledge by avoiding these sectarian views and accepting the lotus feet of Krishna as the ultimate goal of life. Let us all worship Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for his gracious mercy to the conditioned souls.
Haribol, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki.
Jai.
Jai.
So that's the special mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he can guide us to pure devotional service, even though we may not be exactly ready or mature, but he can give that mercy, thus having the name of Maha Bandhanyaya. Fantastic. Thank you for that reading and sharing. Now, one might ask, but isn't this processes also a process of elevation? Someone may ask that question. And what would we answer to them? Why Prabhupada is calling them sectarian views? Any ideas? Pritukunda Prabhu, what do you think? Why are these philosophies being called sectarian?
Prabhuji, as per my knowledge, I think sectorial means they are particularly having some material desires in that knowledge. That's maybe the reason.
Yes, and if their material desires means they don't include Krishna. That is the definition of material desire, that you exclude Krishna. So in these philosophies, the person of Krishna is left out. So they become sectarian. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us how to include Krishna in that understanding. So that's
Prabhuji,
Yes.
Prabhuji, sorry to interrupt. Prabhuji, in your reactions, you just raise your hand, you just lower your hand. In your reactions, it has become, yeah, you just lower your hand, you just click it so that it will lower your hand. In the reaction column. Yeah.
I know,
so
because I have a shared screen, I don't see that. I saw the hand, I was trying to lower it, but I could not see it.
Okay, no issue, Prabhu, no issue. No issue.
So, hold on. Yes, so here we are. Okay, so in other words, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is creating an oasis in the middle of Kali Yuga. You know the word oasis, right? In the desert, you have this beautiful place where we can take shelter. So this is what it's saying in verse number 2. Could you read that for us, Jivananda Prabhu?
O my merciful Lord Chaitanya, may the nectarian Ganges waters of your transcendental activities flow on the surface of my desert-like tongue. Beautifying these waters are the lotus flowers of singing, dancing, and loud chanting of Krishna's holy name, which are the pleasure abodes of unalloyed devotees. These devotees are compared to swans, ducks, and bees. The rivers flowing produces a melodious sound that gladdens their ears.
So that's Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the sages, right? The sound of the glorification of Krishna is like the sound of a flowing river, and the sages appreciate that. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mercifully is giving us all this information from the transcendental world, and that's compared to an oasis. And here there's one word which is an essential word. What is that? In the middle of so many words, choose one word which you think this word is very important.
Desert like tongue, Prabhuji. Desert like tongue.
Okay, now the tongue is being explained as desert because there's something which is the contrary of desert here. What is that?
Nectar.
The nectarian, Ganges,
Water.
water. The water of the Ganges. So his words are like the nectarian Ganges water. And it's interesting because Sri Nityananda Prabhu, he says that when one is too much attached to mental speculation, philosophical speculation, his heart is dry with the impersonal conception of God. And when the heart is dry, devotion cannot flourish. So again, an analogy of humidity, of flourishing is there. And here, the Ganges water is what is carrying the nectarian words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to my desert-like tongue. So the tongue is glorifying so many things, eating so many things, and is not glorifying the Supreme Lord. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us that information. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So this is the glory of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now we're going to proceed in the chapter because the author has a purpose in this chapter. And he explains that in the summary. So I'd like to ask Apurvananda Prabhu to go to the summary and read the first two paragraphs of the summary for us.
Sure.
You found it?
Just a second. I thought you will present in the PowerPoint. Just a second.
You go to the Vedabase in the beginning. It is there.
Huh?
I have book.
Yes. Oh, so nice, so nice, so nice. Just in the beginning.
Okay.
Let's start with this chapter explains. Please read.
Yes.
Sure.
You like Jivanuga Prabhu to read? He's got it ready, or you have it? You have it there? Apurva
Yes,
Prabhu.
bro. Yes, bro. Yes,
Okay.
bro. Yes, bro.
So let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So you want me to read the introduction?
Yes.
Okay. The word Chaitanya means living force. Charita means character. And Amrita means immortal.
No,
No,
this is not.
we are
Chapter
looking at the
2, the
introduction,
introduction.
chapter 2, huh? Apurva.
Okay.
Chapter 2, introduction.
Okay.
Go to
This
chapter 2
chapter,
and then
yeah.
introduction.
Yes, bro. This chapter explains that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. Therefore, the Brahman in effulgence is the bodily luster of Lord Chaitanya, and the localized supersoul situated in the heart of every living entity is his partial representation. The Purusa avatars are also explained in this connection. Mahavishnu is the reservoir of all conditioned souls. But as confirmed in the authoritative scriptures, Lord Chaitanya is the ultimate fountainhead, the source of numerous plenary expansions, including Narayana, who is generally accepted by Mayavadi philosophers to be the absolute truth. The Lord's manifestation of Prabhava and Vaibhava expansions, as well as partial incarnations and incarnations with delegated powers, are also explained. Lord Krishna's ages of boyhood and youth are discussed, and it is explained that his age at the beginning of youth is his eternal form. Second paragraph. The spiritual sky contains innumerable spiritual planets, the Vakunthas, which are manifestations of the Supreme Lord's internal energy. Innumerable material universes are similarly exhibited by his external energy, and the living entities are manifested by his marginal energy. Because Lord Krishna Chaitanya is not different from Lord Krishna. He is the cause of all causes. There is no cause beyond him. He is eternal and his form is spiritual. Lord Chaitanya is directly the Supreme Lord Krishna, as the evidence of authoritative scripture proves. This chapter stresses that a devotee who wishes to advance in Krishna consciousness must have knowledge of Krishna's personal form, his three principal energies, his pastimes, and the relationship of the living entities with him. Yes,
Thank you for that, Apurvananda. Excellent. I'll ask if somebody here in this room would like to tell us, so what is the importance of this chapter? What stick to your mind when we read this summary? Kokon Mataji, what did you understand from this?
Prabhuji, I couldn't understand many of the things because it's not there in the screen. I cannot save. I
Okay,
just
you don't have the book in front of you. Okay, okay.
Prabhuji.
So here's anybody else, did you catch any point from this introduction?
Yeah, Prabhuji, because Lord Krishna Chaitanya is not different from Lord Krishna. So this is the point very important. Because Lord Krishna Chaitanya is not different from Lord Krishna. He is the cause of all causes. There is no cause beyond him. So this point to me is very much important.
Very good point.
And he is the eternal. His form is spiritual. Lord Chaitanya is directly the Supreme Lord Krishna, as the evidence of the authoritative scriptures proves. So this is important to me, Prabhuji.
Pritu
From the
Prabhu,
chapter.
what was on your mind when we read this? What was the important point here, or the important points? Jivanuga Prabhu has just given us one very important.
Prabhuji, just I think this Krishna is the cause of all causes. I remember that point.
Okay.
Krishna is the cause of all causes. That is the main point. I understand these things.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, let's see if we put this in points, what does it translate into? Okay, we said number one, right? Kokon Mataji, please read point number one.
Lord Chaitanya is the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna himself.
We said that, right? So this chapter is that's the main point of this chapter. The author, Krishna Das Kaviraj, is trying to tell us, or tell the audience, is to establish that Lord Chaitanya is the same Krishna. Okay. Number two, Jivanuga Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Brahman effulgence is the bodily lustre of Lord Chaitanya.
Aha, so now the Brahman effulgence is none different from him. It's only the luster of his body, right? That's an excellent point.
Prabhuji.
The author is putting. Apurva Prabhu, what's point number three?
Paramatma is his partial representation. The Purusha avatars are also explained in this connection.
Okay, so here Paramatma is also being put as a partial manifestation of him, as well as all the Purusha avatars. Excellent. And Disha Mataji.
Mahavishnu is the reservoir of all conditioned souls.
Okay, so here all of us will rest in Mahavishnu. Pritu Prabhu.
Lord Krishna is the ultimate fountainhead, the source of numerous plenary expansions, including Narayana.
Aha, this is a very important point, because we hear a lot from spiritualists sometimes that Narayana is the supreme and Krishna is an incarnation of Narayana. So the author, he wants to show us that actually Krishna is the fountainhead, and he will attempt to do that in the next verse. Jivanoga Prabhu, number 6.
Yes, Narayana is generally accepted by Mayavadi philosophers to be the absolute truth.
Right. And then Kokun Mataji.
The Lord's manifestation are explained. Prabha and Vibha expansions, partial incarnations, incarnations with delegated powers.
Okay, here's a question for the group. Have you ever heard the Prabhava and Vaibhava expansions of the Lord? Has anybody heard? No, Disha, you haven't? Prito Prabhu?
No, Prabhu, I have not heard that.
Okay, that's okay. I also did some little research. It was a long time I had read them. So I'm going to try to help us as we go along. Okay, fantastic. Okay, Apurva Prabhu, what's number 2?
Lord Krishna's ages of boyhood and youth are discussed. His age at the beginning of youth is his eternal form.
Perfect. Disha Mataji?
The spiritual sky, the Vaikunthas, are manifestations of the Supreme Lord's internal energy.
Okay, Prito Prabhu?
Innumerable material universes are similarly exhibited by his external energy.
So the author is trying to show us that there is a Vaikuntha dimension with so many planets, and from the material manifestations, there are so many other material manifestations, and the author will try to show us how this happens. Jivanoga Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Number 5.
The living entities are manifested by his marginal energy.
So we are considered marginal energy. So marginal energy means an energy which can take shelter both of the internal energy of God, the spiritual energy, as the material energy of the Lord, Maya. So we are in a position that any moment we may feel very attracted to something spiritual, but at the same time, the next moment, something very material attracts us. Have you had this experience in your life?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Like all of a sudden, people who like chocolate, they see a piece of chocolate, say, wow, that's so nice. Or a young man sees a big, beautiful car and says, look at that car. Wow, and he forgets Krishna for a moment, or a motorcycle. He sees a bullet. Wow. And for a moment, he forgot Krishna. Well, it happens to all of us at one point. Or you may see the deity of the Lord and some emotions come to you and you start to think, how the Lord is so beautiful. So the jiva has this capacity of going to one side or to the other side. That's how we are constituted. So it's natural that we have this way. Okay? So he's establishing that point. Now, he's going to start. Krishna Das Kaviraj has a marathon. He has 120 verses to show these points. And we're going to try in our little time to follow as much as we can of his very intelligent thought. So, let's start with Jivanoga Prabhu. This is verse number 5. Let's go.
Yes, Prabhuji. What the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord known as Super Soul is but his localized plenary portion. Lord Chaitanya is the supreme personality of the Godhead, Krishna himself, full with 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth. No other truth is greater than or equal to him.
So the author has already started with his thesis. Lord Chaitanya is none other than Krishna himself. And there's a beautiful purport. So I'm wondering if Prito Prabhu, if you have the book there with you, and you'd like to read the purport for us, with us.
Prabhu, I did not have book in front of me right now.
Anybody has a book in front of yourselves? Okay, Apurva Prabhu. Let's read the purport of verse number 5.
Yeah, I have, Prabhuji. I have. Prabhu, you can go ahead, please. Please
There'll be
do.
many purposes. Don't worry, we have many opportunities to. It's quite a long purport, but it's important. So let's go with it.
What the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord known as the Super Soul is but his localized plenary portion. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself full with 6 opulences. His absolute truth and no other truth is greater than or equal to him. Purport. The compilers of the Upanishads speak very highly of the impersonal Brahman. The Upanishads, which are considered the most elevated portion of Vedic literatures, are meant for persons who desire to get free from material association and who therefore approach a bona fide spiritual master for enlightenment. The prefix upa indicates that one must receive knowledge about the absolute truth from a spiritual master. One who has faith in his spiritual master actually receives transcendental instruction, and as his attachment for material life slackens, he is able to advance on the spiritual path. Knowledge of the transcendental science of the Upanishads can free one from the entanglement of existence in the material world, and when thus liberated, one can be elevated to the spiritual kingdom of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by advancement in a spiritual life.
So before we continue, so here the Upanishad is saying that when our attachment to the material world gets a little bit relaxed, that opens a window for the spiritual search. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is waiting for that opportunity. He's waiting very vigorously, very anxiously. When are we going to give him a chance? And when we do, then he comes in through many miraculous arrangements. Maybe some of you experienced, someone came with a book or spoke about the temple. And one day when you saw, there you were in front of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is making many arrangements. Okay, Jivanuga Prabhu, let's take paragraph number 2.
Okay, Prabhuji. The beginning of spiritual enlightenment is realization of impersonal Brahman. Such realization is effected by gradual negation of material variegatedness. Impersonal Brahman realization is the partial, distant experience of the absolute truth that one achieves through the rational approach. It is compared to one's seeing a hill from a distance and taking it to be a smoky cloud. A hill is not a smoky cloud, but it appears to be one from a distance because of our imperfect vision. In imperfect or smoky realization of the absolute truth, spiritual variegatedness is conspicuous by its absence. This experience is therefore called Advaitavad, or realization of the oneness of the absolute.
Now, the reason the author is pointing this very important point is because sometimes we think that impersonal realization is something happens in a Himalaya yogi or someone who is there, but actually it's spread everywhere. Just observe. When we go to school, before, we had this beautiful teacher which was with us from class number 1 until the last class. Today, as we go, the teachers are changing. We have many teachers from 7th grade. We don't have one more teacher. We have many teachers like the university. And in university, the teacher comes, gives a subject and goes. For those of you who have been to universities. So the tendency in every area, like before you went to a shop, you chose a sari, you chose some clothes. Now where do you go to shop? Amazon, right? Because it's all in the machine. So the whole life is becoming more and more impersonal. Have you ever had the experience that everybody in the house is on a device?
Yes,
Yes?
yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
So we are all in the same place, but everybody has a device. So gradually, we are becoming more and more involved by impersonal perception of life. And the author here is saying that even if for those who think that the Brahman is the absolute truth, actually, that's part of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. It's the only thing is they don't perceive that. Okay? We could actually go on, but because we have many verses to cover, I'll suggest you to read very carefully all these purports. Let's go to the next verse. Now, here's an important point, which he's going to put. Prito Prabhu, can you read verse number 7? It's on the screen.
Yes, Prabhu. A predicate always follows its subject. Now, I shall explain the meaning of this verse according to the revealed scriptures.
So, what he's saying is that when you have a predicate and a subject, we need to understand the subject in order to understand the predicate. Let's see if that's correct, what he's saying. Let's read that, verse number 6. Anybody?
Yes, Prabhu. Impersonal Brahman, the localized Paramatma, and the personality of Godhead are three subjects. And the glowing effulgence, the partial manifestation, and the original form are their three respective.
Okay. Yes, that's right. That's right. I think I skipped that. So I skipped the verse 7, and now the right verse is 6. Now he's saying that, okay, Jivanuga, what is he saying?
This one, Prabhuji? This one actually is a very famous verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Brahmeti, Paramatmiti, Bhagavaniti, Sabdayate. So this is actually impersonal Brahman, the localized Paramatma, and personality of the Godhead. So we are actually pursuing the personality of the Godhead.
Okay, very good. So here he's saying that these are the three respective predicates. And then in verse number 7, he spoke about the predicate always followed subject. Now let's explain the meaning according to this verse. Right? How you can explain how we can understand this sentence correctly. Disha Mataji, let's read this.
Krishna is established as Swayam Bhagavan. Krishna, the original form of the personality of Godhead, is the summum bonum of the all-pervading Vishnu. He is all-perfect knowledge and all-perfect bliss. He is the supreme transcendence.
Right. Apurva Ananda, let's read that.
He whom Srimad Bhagavatam describes as the son of Nanda Maharaj has described to earth, has descended to earth as Lord Chaitanya.
Okay, so now it's going to become clear what he wants to speak about the predicate and the subject. This is a very important point. And someone with the purport, I'd like to ask to read the purport.
Should I go? Should I read,
okay.
Prabhuji?
Let's go.
Okay. According to the rules of rhetorical arrangement of the efficient composition in literature, a subject should be mentioned before its predicate. The Vedic literature frequently mentions Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, and therefore these three terms are widely known as subjects of the transcendental understanding. But it is not widely known that what is approached as the impersonal Brahman is the effulgence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental body. Nor is it widely known that the super soul or Paramatma is only a partial representation of Lord Chaitanya, who is identical with Bhagavan himself. Therefore, the descriptions of Brahman as the effulgence of Lord Chaitanya, the Paramatma as his partial representation, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, as identical with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must be verified by evidence from authoritative Vedic literatures.
Okay, so he wants to say, he does not just want to speak that. He wants to say, now we must look at the scriptures to verify if actually Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, and if the impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, as his expansion. Okay, so that's his proposition with this predicate and subject. Okay? Okay, let's continue. Jivanuga Prabhu.
The author wants to establish first the essence of the Vedas is the Vishnu Tattva, the absolute truth Vishnu, the all-pervading Godhead. The Vishnu Tattva has different categories, of which the highest is Lord Krishna, the ultimate Vishnu Tattva, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita and throughout the Vedic literature. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the same Supreme Personality of the Godhead, Krishna, is described as Nanda Suta, the son of King Nanda. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that Nanda Suta has again appeared as Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he bases this statement on his understanding that the Vedic literature concludes there is no difference between Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This the author will prove. If it is thus proved that Sri Krishna is the origin of all tattas, truths, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, and there is no difference between Sri Krishna and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it will not be difficult to understand that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also the same origin of all tattas, the same absolute truth as is revealed to students of different realization is called Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan.
Okay, so this is what he wants to do. He wants to establish that the Vedas are good literature. In the Vedas, Lord Krishna is the supreme fountainhead, and Paramatma, Brahman realization are parts of that. And Lord Sri Chaitanya is none different from Krishna, therefore Brahman and Paramatma are his expansions. Is that clear? What his intention is? Very clear.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so now to become more interesting, I'd like to see if Prito Prabhu and Kokon Mataji could get the Veda base on their devices. Is it possible?
Okay, Prabhu, let me check it.
No, Prabhu, for me it is not possible.
Okay. You don't have the book as well, right? The Chaitanya Charitamrita with you.
No, Prabhu.
Okay.
I have Prabhu, but in a Hindi version I have. That's why I'm not able to put it.
Okay, okay. But you don't have the Veda base in English in your phone, you can get on your browser.
But Prabhu, I have to install it. I have not installed
No,
it in
no,
my
no,
phone.
it's just a site. If you just go to Vedabase it appears in your phone or computer.
Okay.
Disha Mataji, you can help to Kakon so that she can get access from Vedabase. Disha Mataji,
Right.
you can help. To
See, you
Kakon.
got,
Yes, I'm helping, Mama.
you got an instruction from the authority, so now you have to manifest. Meanwhile, Prita Prabhu, are you able to find?
Yes, I'm able to find it.
Good. Because there are many verses, and it'll be very dynamic if we just read one verse after the other, just the main verse. Okay, just the translation from 10 to 21. That's what we're going to do now. So let's start with Jivanuga Prabhu. And then we go Jivanuga, and Kokon Mataji, Kokon or Disha?
Disha, she will help Kakon.
Okay, so both
Disha
of you
will
read
help.
one, and then we have,
Yeah.
great, Apurvanand Prabhu, and then Pritu. So we go reading like this, okay? And I read one too. So let me start. In terms of his various manifestations, he is known in three features, called impersonal Brahman, the localized Paramatma, and the original personality of Godhead. Number 11, Jivanugaji.
Learned transcendentalist who know the absolute truth say that it is non-dual knowledge and is called impersonal Brahman, the localized Paramatma and the personality of Godhead.
Okay. Okay, Disha and Kokun.
What the Upanishads call the transcendental, impersonal Brahman is the realm of the glowing effulgence of the same Supreme Person.
Perfect.
As
Apurva.
with the naked eye, one cannot know the sun except as a glowing substance. Merely by philosophical speculation, one cannot understand Lord Krishna's transcendental varieties.
You see the example, how nice? We're calling with the naked eye, you cannot see the substance of the sun. So also with philosophy, you cannot see Krishna. Great. Apurvanandaji.
Prabhu, I will continue. Please ask someone else. I have an emergency. Please give me 2 minutes.
Pritu Prabhu, verse 14.
Text 14. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is endowed with great power. The glowing effulgence of his transcendental form is the impersonal Brahman, which is absolute, complete, and unlimited, and which displays the varieties of countless planets with their different opulences in millions and millions of universes.
So here Lord Brahma is describing Govinda and his characteristics. Shivanuga Prabhuji, 15.
Yes, Prabhuji. Lord Brahma said, the opulences of the impersonal Brahman spread throughout the millions and millions of universes. That Brahman is but the bodily effulgence of Govinda.
I worship Govinda. He is my Lord. Only by his grace am I empowered to create the universe.
Okay, Lord Brahma is saying that. Okay.
Naked saints and sannyasis who undergo severe physical penances, who can raise the semen to the brain, and who are completely equipoised in Brahman can live in the realm known as Brahmaloka.
Apurvananda, you ready? You can 16.
Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
17. 17 or 18, actually.
18.
Okay, so verse 18.
Yeah.
He who is described in the Yoga Shastras as the indwelling super soul, Atma Antaryami, is also a plenary portion of Govinda's personal expansion.
Okay, so Lord Brahma is saying that. 19, Pritu Prabhu.
As the one sun appears reflected in countless jewels, so Govinda manifests himself as Paramatma in the hearts of all living beings.
So here's a very important expression, because the analogy is just like the sun in many jewels appear to be many suns. Each one of us has one Paramatma, but that Paramatma is one Paramatma reflected in so many Jivatma's heart. So it's very important verse. So 20, Jivanuga Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna said, what more shall I say to you? I live throughout this cosmic manifestation merely by my single plenary portion.
And finally, verses 21.
Grandfather Bhishma said, as the one sun appears differently situated to different seers, so also do you, the unborn, appear differently represented as the Paramatma in every living being. But when a seer knows himself to be one of your own servitors, no longer does he maintain such duality. Thus, I am now able to comprehend your eternal forms, knowing well the Paramatma to be only your plenary portion.
So here Bhishma Dev is on the arrow beds and he's giving his final instructions to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And he's saying, now finally I have understood that there's no difference, Govinda, between you and the Paramatma in the heart. And here we come to verse number 22.
That Govinda personally appears as Caitanya.
Just a moment. Before we do go, let's see what we learned in these verses from 10 to 21.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So Sri Krishna established the Supreme Lord, right? Jivanuga Prabhu, number 1.
Yes, Prabhuji. As as Paramatma and Brahman.
So he established that. Number 2, Disha.
Brahman is but the bodily effulgence of Govinda. Verse 15, Lord Brahma.
Lord Brahma is saying that. Number 3, Kakun Mataji.
As the one sun appears reflected in countless jewels, so Govinda manifests himself as Paramatma in the hearts of all living beings.
Apurva Prabhu.
Verse 21, Vismadev states the point.
That's the point that he states. And we come to the beautiful verse number 22, which I think Disha Mataji was reading. So please continue. Read that verse.
That Govinda personally appears as Caitanya Goshai.
Yes, Gosai.
Goshai. No other Lord is as merciful in delivering the fallen souls.
Now here, the author is going to give the nectar. He's going to try to prove how Caitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful. Now Srila Prabhupada is so merciful that in his purport, he gives such a beautiful evidence of that. Let's read the purport together. Yes. So if someone is going to ask you after this, how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna are the same, this purport is going to give all the information. So let's start by Kokon Mataji. Let's read the first paragraph.
Having described Govinda in terms of his Brahma and Paramatma features, now the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita advances his argument to prove that Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the identical personality. The same Lord Sri Krishna, in the grab of a devotee of Sri Krishna, descended to this mortal world to reclaim the fallen human beings who had misunderstood the personality of Godhead even after the explanation of the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna directly instructed that the Supreme is a person, that the impersonal Brahma is his glowing effulgence, and that the Paramatma is his partial representation. All men were therefore advised to follow the path of Sri Krishna, leaving aside all mundane isms. Mundane isms, offenders misunderstood this instruction. However, because of their poor fund of knowledge, thus by his causeless, unlimited mercy, Sri Krishna came again as Sri Chaitanya Gosai.
Okay, so here is the nectar. Prabhupada is giving us the nectar. When he was here in this area, in 1964, 1963, he was always meditating how he would go and start this mission. And he was in Advaita Acharya's house meditating on this. And now he is telling us, he's expanding on the verse of the author of Caitanya Charitamrita, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful. So, Prito Prabhu, can you read the second paragraph?
Yes, Prabhu. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita most emphatically stresses that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sri Krishna himself. He is not an expansion of the Prakash or Vilas forms of Sri Krishna. He is the Swayam Rupa Govinda. Apart from the relevant scriptural evidence forwarded by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, there are innumerable other scriptural statements regarding Lord Chaitanya's being the Supreme Lord himself. The following examples may be cited.
Now you can see how Srila Prabhupada is so merciful, because, you know, Krishnadas Kaviraj has given so much evidence, but now he's digging the evidence very deep. And you see how many verses in so many scriptures say the same thing. And a very important point here, which Prito Prabhu just read, the Prakash Vilas, and I'll show you a chart where you can see what he's trying to say. So just don't worry about this. We'll see this in a moment. Okay, Prito Prabhu, please continue reading.
From the Chaitanya Upanishad, Garva Sarvatma Mahapurusho Mahatma Mahayogi Tri Gunatitha Sattva Rupa Bhaktim Loke Kashyati. Lord Gaura, who is the all-pervading super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, appears as a great saint and powerful mystic who is above the three modes of nature and is the emblem of transcendental activity. He disseminates the cult of devotion throughout the world.
Okay, so the Chaitanya Upanishad is telling us the first evidence. Now let's see the second evidence. Jivanuga Prabhu, next page.
Yes, Prabhuji. From the Setotvara Upanishad 6.7 and 3.2, O Supreme Lord, you are the Supreme Maheshwar, the worshipable deity of all the demigods and the Supreme Lord of all lords. You are the controller of controllers, the personality of the Godhead, the Lord of everything worshipable. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead is Mahaprabhu, who disseminates transcendental enlightenment. Just to be in touch with him is to be in contact with the indestructible Brahma Jyoti.
So Prabhupada is pouring more and more evidence. Let's go on with that. Disha Mataji, number 3.
One who sees that golden colored personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Actor, who is the source of the Supreme Brahman, is liberated.
So we see him every day at the Panchatattva. So that's a mercy. Number 4, Kokon Mataji.
We offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of him, the Lord, upon whom one should always meditate. He destroys insults to his devotees. He removes the distress of his devotees and satisfies their desires. He, the abode of all holy places and the shelter of all sages, is worshipable by Lord Shiva, and Lord Brahma. He is the boat of the demigods for crossing the ocean of birth and death.
And here Prabhupada brings a general description of God. We'll read one more.
We offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Lord, upon whom one should always meditate. He left his householder life, leaving aside his eternal consort, whom even the denizens of heaven adore. He went into the forest to deliver the fallen souls who are put into illusion by material energy.
Now here this verse is perfectly describing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What was the name of his wife?
Vishnupriya Devi.
Vishnupriya Devi.
Yes, so she is considered Lakshmi Devi herself. And he left her to enlighten all of us. Okay. One more verse, Kokun Mataji.
My Lord, you kill all the enemies of the world in your multifarious incarnations in the families of men, animals, demigods, rishis, aquatics, and so on. Thus you illuminate the worlds with transcendental knowledge. In the age of Kali, O Mahapurusha, you sometimes appear in a covered incarnation. Therefore, you are known as Three Yuga, one who appears only in only 3 yugas. From the Krishna Yamala Tantra, Punya Kshetra Navadvipa Bhavishyami Sachi Sutta, I shall appear in the holy land of Navadvip as the son of Sachi Devi.
Perfect. Apurvananda, one from you, from the Vayu Purana.
From the Vayu Purana, Kalau Sankirtana Rambhe Bhavishyami Sachi Sutta. In the age of Kali, when the Sankirtan movement is inaugurated, I shall descend as the son of Sachi Devi.
Perfect. Beautiful. One more.
From the Brahma Yamala Tantra, Athavaham Dharadhame Bhutva Madbhakta Rupadrig Mayayam Cha Bhavishyami Kalau Sankirtanagame. Sometimes I personally appear on the surface of the world in the garb of a devotee. Specifically, I appear as the son of Sachi in Kali Yuga to start the Sankirtan movement.
And Pritha Prabhu, the last one, from the Ananta Samhita.
From the Ananta Samhita, the Supreme Person, Sri Krishna himself, who is the life of Sri Radharani and is the Lord of the universe in creation, maintenance, and annihilation, appears as a Gora, O Maheshwari.
Okay. So now if anybody asks you why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is considered to be Krishna himself, look how much evidence Srila Prabhupada has brought. That's an important verse to remember, verse 22. Now, Jivanuga Prabhu, the chapter is very long, and we may not reach the end. So what shall we do? We just continue and we stop where we do, or we go to the end and try to conclude?
And we can go because we have time, another 15-20 minutes time we have, Prabhu. You can continue.
Okay.
So we can
let's
do
go.
also, we can do the next part also, part 2 also of that chapter. No problem, Prabhu. We are not in a hurry. If you want that, we can do the part 2 of this chapter.
Now,
we can do that
these
also.
verses, in the verse 23 to 51, he's going to prove that theory of the predicate and the subject. He's going to try to say a special verse that it's Narayana comes from Krishna, not Krishna from Narayana. We could do that, but probably our time will finish here, or we could go forward. What do you say? It's a choice. You must decide as a group.
Please repeat, Prabhuji.
Yes,
What
we
you are
could read
saying,
this
please.
section from 23 to 51, which would probably take care of most of the idea how Narayana and Krishna, who is the origin of who? He clarifies that. We could do that, or we could run ahead and go to the conclusion. We have to choose, because we can't do both. Today, at least.
Please tell what do you want.
Let us decide together. Pritu, you vote for continuing or conclusion?
I vote for conclusion.
Okay. Aparva Prabhu. Apurva.
Yes, Prabhu, I think we should go for conclusion because it's selfish, because I need to go actually.
Okay. Disha Mataji, what do you vote for?
Conclusion.
We have 3 now. The game is getting critical. 3-2. Kakun, you can still make a go for conclusion or continue?
No, Prabhu, I would like to continue, but if majority is conclusion.
We have 1 vote for continue. Don't desist yet, okay? And Jivanuga Prabhu.
Prabhuji, we can go for conclusion, and if you want, because you are the best judge, and really I'm enjoying, we're really enjoying, we can do part 2 of this chapter, Prabhuji. One session we can do part 2, so that all this continuation we can do in that session, Prabhuji. Now we can go for conclusion, but we can revisit of this chapter, Prabhuji, if you permit.
So you're saying we may revisit this chapter. Okay, I may need a little charger, because let's see if I can get some little help from my it's dying. Nada, could you get a charger for me? Yes. Yes, so I think then we continue, and then wherever we stop, we continue another session. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Is everybody happy with that, the way we are doing it? Is it okay? Is it nice?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so let's go. And the conclusion will become like a little bit of a suspense. This is a very exciting chapter, actually. I really enjoyed preparing to it. Okay, very good. So let's get our books ready, and we'll do the same way as we did, reading 1 translation.
Pritu Babu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Pritu Babu, just show your daughter in the screen if possible. Bhakti.
Bhakti.
If possible, show your daughter so that everyone can, see your daughter, lovely daughter. Bhakti Mataji ki jai ho. Bhakti. Oh, wow. Where is your teeth in front? Hare Krishna Mataji, Bhakti Mataji ki jai ho. Hari bol. Nice to see you. You remember me? You आप पहचान रहे हो मेरे को, भक्ति माता जी? मैं कितना दफा आ चुका हूँ आपका घर पे? अरे वाह, भक्ति माता जी की जय हो. And where is your teeth in the front? आपका दांत कहाँ चला गया?
पापा ने तोड़ दिया.
अरे बाबा रे, अच्छा. दोबारा आएगा नहीं आएगा कि ऐसे ना होगे?
Ask पापा.
अच्छा. और एक है, दिशा माता जी भी है. दिशा माता जी जरा बात करो इनसे, भक्ति से बात करो.
हरे कृष्णा भक्ति. आप मुझे देख पा रहे हो? मेरी मम्मी बैठी है अभी स्क्रीन पे. तो आप कितने इयर्स के हो?
6.
तो फिर आप अभी कौन से क्लास में हो?
2nd.
अरे वाह. आपके स्कूल की छुट्टियां चल रही हैं अभी? विंटर वेकेशन चल रही है?
Yes.
ओके, आप दिल्ली में रहते हो?
Yes.
वहां पे तो बहुत
फरीदाबाद
ठंड
में।
पड़ी है ना? बहुत ठंड पड़ रही है। यहाँ पे कोलकाता में भी सब लोग जम रहे हैं, दिल्ली में तो और भी ज्यादा ठंड है फिर, है ना?
भक्ति को काफी श्लोक आता है भगवत गीता का। भक्ति एक दो सुना दो, आप सुना रहे थे ना शाम को, आप एक दो सुना दो श्लोका भक्ति जो आपको अच्छा लगता है भगवत गीता का।
First sloka of Bhagavad Gita. Dharam kshetre kurukshetre sanjaytayusa mam ka pandavache kim kura sanjaya.
हरि बोल। और एक सुना
हरि
दो,
बोल।
और एक सुना दो।
पत्रम पुष्पम फलम तोयम यो मे भक्तिया परिषति ततहम भक्ति उपृत अस्नामि प्रतात्मना.
हरि बोल। और सुना दो, और एक सुना दो।
सर्वधर्मान परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वां सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्ष्यामि मा शुचः.
हरि बोल।
श्लोका भगवद गीता यत्र योगेश्वरो कृष्णा यत् पार्थो धनुधर तत् श्री विजयोर्भूति ध्रुवा नीति मम.
हरि बोल। भक्ति माता जी की जय हो, जय हो, जय हो। और नरसिंह आरती में जानते हो ना, नमस्ते नरसिंहाय। थोड़ा सा सुनाओ प्लीज।
नरसिंहाय प्रहलादेदाहीने हिरण्याकशिपूर्वक्षः शीलतंखा नखाय इतो नरसिंहा प्रतो सिंहा यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बहि नरसिंहा हृदय नरसिंहा नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकर्ण विवरे नख अद्भुत सिंहा ललिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगा केशवगीता नरहरि रूपा जगदीश हे.
हरि बोल। So now the lecture has started. Yes, Prabhuji. Sorry, Prabhuji. Sorry, Prabhuji. She is the daughter of Prithakun Prabhu, and they are from Faridabad, Prabhuji. My old friend. Her name is Bhakti, Prabhuji.
Yes. By your mercy, or your daughter's mercy, the power came back. She was chanting for Nishingadev, and the power came back.
And her name is Bhakti, Prabhuji. Such
Bhakti,
a beautiful
right?
name.
So she's full of bhakti.
Bhakti.
All right.
Devotion.
So let's read in that sequence we are reading from verse 23 to 51. Very interesting dialogue is happening.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, you want to start? Jivanoga Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Lord Narayana, who dominates the transcendental world, is full in 6 opulences. He is the personality of Godhead, the Lord of Goddess of Fortune.
Okay.
The personality of Godhead is He who is described as the absolute whole in the Vedas, Bhagavatam, Upanishads, and other transcendental literatures. No one is equal to Him.
Perfect.
Through their service, devotees see that personality of Godhead just as the denizens of heaven see the personality of the sun.
Okay, so we can't see the personality of the sun. Similarly, only devotees of the personality of Godhead can see him. It's an analogy, an interesting analogy. Okay, next verse.
Those who walk the paths of knowledge and yoga worship only Him. For it is Him they perceive as the impersonal Brahma and localized Paramatma.
Okay, next one.
Text 27. Thus, one may understand the glories of the Lord through different modes of worship, as the example of the sun illustrates.
Okay.
Narayana and Sri Krishna are the same personality of Godhead, but although they are identical, their bodily features are different.
Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna has 2 hands and holds a flute, whereas the other, Narayana, has 4 hands with conch, wheel, mace, and lotus.
Text 30. O Lord of Lords, you are the seer of all creations. You are indeed everyone's dearest life. Are you not therefore my father Narayana? Narayana refers to one whose abode is in the water born from Nara, Garbhodayak Shri Vishnu, and that Narayana is your plenary portion. All your plenary portions are transcendental. They are absolute and are not creations of Maya.
After Brahma had offended Krishna by stealing his playmates and calves, he begged the Lord's pardon for his offensive act and prayed for the Lord's mercy.
And here comes his prayer.
Text
I
32.
took
Yes, Prithu Prabhu.
Text 32.
Mhm.
I took birth from the lotus that grew from your navel. Thus, you are both my father and my mother, and I am your son.
Jivanoga Prabhuji.
Parents never take seriously, text 33. Parents never take seriously the offenses of their children. I therefore beg your pardon and ask for your benediction.
Is that correct, Disha Mataji? The parents never take seriously the offenses of the children.
No.
Okay, right. See, some instructions from the Caitanya Charitamrita. Okay, the next one.
Sri
Okay,
Krishna said, O Brahma, your father is Narayana. I am but a cowherd boy. How can you be my son?
so here, look at that.
Hmm.
He's saying, I'm your father, I'm a cowherd boy. What are you talking about?
Text 35. Brahma replied, Are you not Narayana? You are certainly Narayana. Please listen as I state the proofs.
So here Brahma is going to prove how he is Narayana, okay, himself. Let's go on.
All the living beings within the material and the spiritual worlds are ultimately born of you, for you are the super soul of them all.
Text 37. As the earth is the original cause and shelter of all pots made of earth, so you are the ultimate cause and shelter of all living beings.
Jivanuga Prabhu, I think it's you.
Yes, yes. Text 38. The word Nara refers to the aggregate of all living beings, and the word Ayana refers to refuge of them all.
So the word Nara refers to the aggregate of all living beings. And the word Ayana, the refuge of all of them. Okay? So Narayana is the refuge of all. Okay.
You are therefore the original Narayana. This is one reason. Please listen as I state the second.
The direct lords of the living beings are the Purusha incarnations, but your opulence and power are more exalted than theirs.
So here Brahma is already indicating, but you are superior to them.
Therefore, you are the primeval Lord, the original father of everyone. They, the Purusas, are protectors of the universes by your power.
Mhm.
Text 42. Since you protect those who are the shelters of all living beings, you are the original Narayana.
Mhm.
Text 43. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, kindly hear my third reason. There are countless universes and fathomless transcendental Vaikunthas.
Both in this material world and in the transcendental world, you see all the deeds of all living beings in the past, present, and future. Since you are the witness of all such deeds, you know the essence of everything.
So he just pointed the Paramatma feature here, right? Yes.
All
Okay.
the worlds exist because you oversee them. None can live, move, or have their being without your supervision.
Mhm.
You oversee the wanderings of all living beings. For this reason also, you are the primeval Lord Narayana.
Mhm. Okay.
Text 47. Krishna said, Brahma, I cannot understand what you are saying. Lord Narayana is he who sits in the hearts of all living beings and lies down in the waters of the Karna ocean.
Mhm.
Verse 48. Brahma replied, what I have said is true. The same Lord Narayana who lives on the waters and in the hearts of all living beings is but a plenary portion of you.
Aha, so Brahma is revealing that nectar, okay?
The Karanadakshai, Garbhodakshai, and Shirodakshai forms of Narayana all create in cooperation with the material energy. In this way, they are attached to Maya.
Mhm.
These three Vishnus lying in the water are the super soul of everything. The super soul of all the universes is known as the first Purusha.
Okay. So up to here, Lord Brahma has given all this evidence of why Krishna is the supreme, superior to Narayana, right? And here, verse 52, it's a very important verse. That's why I put it here. Okay, so let's have Prita Prabhu read this text 52.
Superficially, we see that these Purusas have a relationship with Maya, but above them, in the fourth dimension, is Lord Krishna, who has no contact with the material energy.
And we read the purport. Let me see if I have it here. I don't have it here. Can you read the purport yourself of 52?
Purport. The three Purusas, Kardodakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Shirodakshay Vishnu, all have a relationship with the material energy called Maya, because through Maya, they create the material cosmos. These three Purusas who lie on the Kar, Garbh, and Shiro oceans respectively are the supersoul of everything. That be, Karnodakshay Vishnu is the supersoul of the collective universes. Garbhodaya Vishnu is the supersoul of the collective living beings. And Shirodakshay Vishnu is the supersoul of all individual living entities. Because of them, are somehow attracted to the affairs of the material energy. They can be said to have some affection for Maya, but the transcendental position of Sri Krishna himself is not even slightly tinged by Maya. His transcendental state is called Turiya, or the fourth dimension stage.
Okay, and we'll stop here, even though we could continue. So nectar, the Chaitanya Charitamrita is such a nectarian scripture that I really enjoyed spending the week preparing for you. I read it several times and I researched the verse, I read the whole chapter, and I highly recommend that you read this chapter. It's very exciting.
Prabhuji.
So in this point, where we are, Krishnadas Kaviraj has brought to us Lord Brahma, and he's given all this explanation why Narayana actually is an expansion of Krishna. In the next part, he's going to actually prove how Narayana is an expansion of Krishna. And Shukadeva Goswami got very worried about this. So we can hear about that in the next class, in the next moment. But I recommend that all of you read the full chapter, which concludes with this beautiful explanation how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So we can welcome the questions till this up to text verse 52. So if anybody has any question, please ask. Otherwise, I have one or two questions. So please ask quickly.
Okay, Jivanuga, you have two questions.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna,
Yes.
Prabhuji. Prabhuji, please explain once more about that Sri Vishnu being in Maya, means having connection with Maya. How is it that I did not
You
get?
see, that's a very good question. Because actually, the verse said he appears to have a connection. Because when Lord Vishnu is lying in the ocean, okay, he looks at the material energy, okay? Right? He glances at the material energy. But that glance is Lord Shiva. It's called Sadashiva. So that glance of Sadashiva looks at Maya Devi. So Vishnu appears to be connected because he looked, but actually he looked through Sadashiva. So that's why Sadashiva is both Vishnu and Shiva. It's the two things simultaneously. It's like a look. When he looks, it's the look that goes. It goes like Shiva. It leaves him as Vishnu and reaches there as Shiva. That's Sadashiva. So there's a form called Sadashiva which makes the connection. Okay? So Mahavishnu is not touching the material energy. Do you know why?
No, Prabhu.
Anybody? Why Lord Vishnu does not touch the material energy?
Because Lord Vishnu is mode of goodness, whereas Shiva is mode of passion. Sorry, mode of ignorance. So I believe that is the reason, Prabhuji.
Well, you could say that that's true, what you're saying, but still, if he was interested in Maya, he'll have his Maya in mode of goodness. Well, the reason is because Lord Vishnu and Lord Krishna, they're not attracted to enjoying without Krishna because that's himself. You see, Maya means to enjoy without Krishna, but Krishna does not desire to enjoy without himself. He is Krishna, so he has no interest in the material conception of life. Because, think about it, Krishna conscious is when you put Krishna in the heart, correct? Krishna in the center. Maya is when you put the senses in the center. And you see this beautiful pizza. Pizza. Yes, pizza. Right? So you didn't remember Krishna. Oh, this is offered to Krishna. Oh, this is prashadam. Right? So that moment, we attracted because the pizza is very interesting. So Krishna is not interested in enjoying his energy like that because it's his energy. So he is not interested, therefore he has no connection. Understand? That's why to be able to worship Krishna, we have to become pure devotees. Because he's pure, you have to be pure to have something in common. Otherwise, there's no thing in common. If your heart is not pure and Krishna is pure, how do you connect? There's no connection. Understand? But when you purify, then full connection. Yoga. Yoga. Is that clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Prabhuji, purified means having means not inclined to sense gratification.
Yes, and especially because you're inclined to satisfying Krishna's senses. When a devotee is very pure, he only thinks about what makes Krishna's pure. Look at the gopis. They're thinking, oh, Baba, Krishna is going to the Govardhan hill, barefoot. His feet is so delicate. He's going to get hurt by pebbles and thorns. They're not thinking about themselves. They're thinking about Krishna. It's very pure. Okay? So that's the purest love you could get. So when we think about Krishna's pleasure, that's spiritual. When we first think about what pleasure I want, usually that's not spiritual. But you can spiritualize your desire. Like, we like pizza, so we go and we offer pizza to Krishna. Okay, Krishna, please accept this pizza. But if we think like Krishna said, maybe we offer him a rasagula. He loves rasagula. Offers him gulab jamun. Offer him, I don't know, roti. Like that. We offer what he likes. But in the purification process, at one point, that purification happens and you only desire to give what Krishna likes. Is it okay? Very good. Jivanuga Prabhu, you have anybody else has a question? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. So, Prabhu, my question is, there was something called crocodile theories, like Mayavad theories and all that. So, Prabhu, yeah. So, Prabhu, how to convince, like how those people will get delivered? Because, you know, if someone is not knowing anything, then it is easy to tell them about that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But they are already very much convinced about something else. So how will they get delivered, Prabhu? So this is my question.
Very good question. Actually, that's a very excellent question, because that question needs a lot of contemplation. So the best thing you can offer them is some friendship and then some prasadam. Because through friendship, they accept prasadam and slowly their minds starts to change. Okay? Because why are they bitten by these crocodile philosophies? Because that information about Krishna is not there. But if you give it, it's like very bitter for them. It has no taste. So it's no use to give it. You have to use an intelligent method to give them. And prasadam is a good one. And then if they accept prasadam, then you make good friends with them. I don't preach, just make good friends. They love you. You're the best friend. Oh yes, I really remember this Prabhu Apurva. He's so good. Let's hang out. Okay, let's hang out. We hang out. And one time, they make a question. So Apurva, what do you think about spirituality? It's, oh, spirituality. Interesting. And then you start giving drop by drop until they're interested. That's a very good system. Yeah? Okay?
Thank you so much.
But on the other hand, it's very dangerous because it makes a lot of sense for the mind. Understand? People don't see God. They think God is impersonal.
Yes.
So it is logical, and they can give so many logical arguments. So when we confront, that's the worst preaching, because they will get angry and they remember, that person makes me angry. I don't want to be with him. So that's what we have to do. All right. Anybody else?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
In the introduction, that Lord's manifestation of Prabhava and Vaibhava expansions, is it, Prabhuji, the plenary portion and the portion of the portion? Does it refer to that, Prabhuji?
Okay.
Songs and then angsha of the angs. It is.
Hold on.
It is like that, Prabhuji. It is introduction.
Hold
It is
on.
an introduction.
I wasn't going to show this, but I think I have to show you this so that you will see what I had prepared. We had prepared for you. It's here. Yes. Just give me a moment. Coming to you. Yes. Okay. So this is what we're going to see in the next. So you have the Swayam Rupa, which is Krishna. Rupa is the form, and Swayam, the original form of Krishna. And that is expanded into Vaibhav Prakash forms and Prabhav Prakash. Prabhav Prakash is when Krishna himself expands. Like when the Lord Brahma robbed the cowherd boys, he expanded himself into that. So that's called Prabhav. And Vaibhav is when there's a little change in the color, like Lord Brahma. Okay? Lord Brahma is the first expansion. And from him, all these other expansion appears, including the Vilas, which is the pastimes incarnations. So this is found in the ISKCON Desire Tree, but I can share with you, Prabhu, so you can have a look. It's a very detailed explanation.
Okay, Prabhu.
And I put a little bit of a Veda-based class of Prabhupada where he explains everything. And I put a little explanation about Prabhav, Vaibhava, Prakash, and Vilas. So it's very interesting to learn this. Is that okay? So I'll send this to you.
Yes, Prabhu. This is very, very nice slide, Prabhuji. Very nice.
So here I'm going to download this as a PDF, and I'm going to send you just after the class. Okay, so I just wanted to show that it's easy to understand, a little bit easier when you look at that, and we can at one another point have a look at that. Okay.
Okay.
All right then. I think it's time to go. It was a pleasure. We went over a little bit of time, but I thought everybody was interested.
Yes, yes,
Prabhu, it was very nice
yes.
to hear your little girl Bhakti praying for Lord Nishingadev. Excellent. Very good. Okay, so Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra.
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience. Hare Krishna. And
yes, Prabhu, thank you so much.
You're doing a great service, Jivanoga Prabhu. Very good.
No.
Jai Shri
And
Prabhupada.
your blessings, Prabhuji. And it is like a classroom. I think that we are all in the classroom, and you are a professor. You are just teaching line by line, words by words. It's so excellent experience, Prabhuji. So next session, part 2 of this chapter, I will schedule that date.
Okay, a little after. You have many speakers coming up. A little after, we'll come back and we'll have more. Okay?
Okay. Thank you. Thank
Hare
you so much.
Krishna. Very good. I'm going to finish here. Hare Bo.
Okay. Thank you.